The following is a presentation of the Mat Talk Podcast Network.
The NCAA Division I Wrestling Championships are coming to Pittsburgh the fourth weekend in March, and I want you to be the most prepared wrestling fan on the planet. You can go to WrestlingPreviewGuide.com/JB. You will get $5 off the most amazing wrestling preview guide ever produced for the NCAA Division I Wrestling Championships. I've done this for several years, and it is the only place you will be able to get every single wrestler, every single wrestler's result, bioinformation on teams, historical data, information that you can win your little fantasy contests and pools with. Everything you will possibly want and need to know about the NCAA Division I Wrestling Championships is available. Retails for $19.99. I'll give you $5 off with the promo code JB. WrestlingPreviewGuide.com/JB. It'll take you right to it. If you actually want to see what this thing looks like before you buy, I have a sample video at MattTalkOnline.com/FanGuide19. You can click that 2-minute video. You can see it's a run through. But once you see it, once you have it in your hands, you know this is something you're going to want to keep and have and purchase every single year. Listeners of the shows of the Mat Talk Podcast Network, again, use offer code JB. WrestlingPreviewGuide.com/JB saves you $5. You will not be disappointed. You know, with this type of information, that would even prevent somebody like, Mac Ryder from losing all their fake Monopoly wrestling money at the NCAA Championships. Yeah, don't be like Mac and lose all your fake Monopoly money. Be educated and get everything you need to know about every wrestler at the 2019 NCAA Division I Championships. WrestlingPreviewGuide.com/JB. That is the direct link. Saves you $5. This is a digital preview guide. It will be digitally delivered to your email address on March 13th. So, yeah, iPad, smartphone, tablet, computer ready. You will not be disappointed.
It's time for the Guilty Grapevine, a podcast for the land of 10,000 wrestlers. 10,000 wrestlers. Now, here's your host, award-winning wrestling broadcast journalist, Jason Bryant.
Here on the floor at PPG Paints Arena, the site of the 2019 NCAA Division I Wrestling Championships. Our travel partners, the Minnesota Golden Gophers, 4th straight year, I've had an opportunity to be on the same flight as the Gophers heading to the NCAA Championships here with Coach Brandon Eggum. Like that plug there for Kingsley's travel planning. That's good stuff there.
Yeah, no kidding. This has been crazy. I think we've been unfortunate for 4 years now. We've had to be on the same flight. No, I'll joke. But, yeah, Jason, we're just excited to be here. The guys seem great and seem loose. It's our first opportunity here to get on the mats. A beautiful arena, small as we all know. We wish there was more seats. I know a lot of people back home wish they could be here, but boy, it's going to be a great weekend. And looks like all the seats have an amazing view of the 8 mats out here. So.
Yeah, when you come to a wrestling-rich area like Pennsylvania, Western Pennsylvania specifically, all the guys from this state, there's 53 of them that are wrestling, so the fan bases are going to be splintered. It's not just going to be rooting for their teams. There's going to be rooting for other high school guys, something you see a lot in Minnesota, where a lot of Minnesota talent goes out of state. But when it comes to the athletes you brought here, this is the Tuesday. This is the arrival day. Take us through what the normal day is like for you as a coach and the athletes on the travel day. You've arrived, you get on the mat, you blow the legs out a little bit. So what's the rest of Tuesday going to bring for you?
Yeah, like you talked about it, we woke up pretty early this morning. 6:30 the guys got there. We had breakfast for them, and then they got on the bus, traveled to the airport. We're lucky being in Minneapolis, as you know, a lot of direct flights, so we got a easy flight here. So far there's been no hiccups. Got the hotel, got checked in right away. Decided to come over here a little bit earlier because we're ahead of schedule, and the guys are working out now, like you said, getting the kinks out. And today's workout is just that. They know what they need to do. So we said, hey, get on the mat. You got about 45 minutes or an hour here, sweat. After travel and stuff, try to loosen up and get some weight off, and then we'll grab dinner, and we'll have a team meeting tonight and just, try to stay loose, not have the guys talk too much about the national tournament coming up. I think they all know what's underway here, but just keep them relaxed. And tomorrow will be a big day. We'll put them through a good workout and get on weight and do those things. But overall, it's been pretty smooth. It's one of the easiest transition days I thought that we've had as far as like travel and everything just working out well. So knock on wood, but it's been a pretty relaxing day here coming in. So.
What are the differences in terms of the preparation and the planning that you're going through now as a coach than what you're seeing and putting these athletes through as, in their day? So, I mean, 20 years ago, you're out here scrapping, getting ready. Man, was it that long ago? You're out here scrapping, and, what are the differences and what are the similarities from then to now?
Yeah, I mean, not too many differences. I think a lot of things are similar. As far as a coach is different because you got to worry about everybody. And as an athlete, the most important thing for these guys is they focus on themselves and all the things that you would tell a youth wrestler. It's one match at a time because as a coach, you can look ahead. But these guys, I think they can do that too at times, especially with the social media. That's one of the changes. There's so much talk about matches and hype that these guys can easily get caught up in that, I think. So hopefully, to be successful, they got to know to shut that stuff off and focus on one match at a time. And but as far as the similarities, man, there's a lot of them. These guys are, I'm sure this is a big weekend for them, so it's hard not to get sensitive to some of the surroundings. But the guys that are going to wrestle well and have success in this tournament, they're able to manage it upstairs in their mind. That's probably the most important thing between even before the Big Tens, really leading into the Big Tens, the NCAAs. It doesn't matter what they're doing training-wise as far as that. It's just really about trying to peak, stay healthy. A lot of individual work maybe with guys, specifically what they need, but those are the things that are the same. These guys got to manage being anxious and the stress, manage their weight well and do those things, but it's one match at a time. And the guys that can continue to do that and be disciplined by staying focused like that are going to be successful. And so should be a great weekend. They seem good at this point.
We go, looking at some of the weight classes. 125 got shaken up because they've seeded all 33 this year. We had a redraw that impacted anybody that was below 14. Ryan Milhoff from Arizona State was out, and that shifted everybody up. It changed first-round opponents for everybody. And in terms of coaching aspect and getting Shawn Russell ready for this, I mean, did that change up anything in terms of preparation?
Not really. You don't want to ever look ahead and stuff, but you kind of see some of the, the opponents they're going to run into down the road and stuff. For him, I'm sure he's, picked up a few changes there as far as, his maybe second round and stuff like that. But in general, this guy just has to go out and wrestle his match. I don't think anything changed as far as, when the seeds came out on last Wednesday, he seemed really relaxed and he was excited. And, seeing him after the change, today and stuff, he just seems loose and ready. And so, like we said before, there's different paths guys have to take through different athletes depending on how things will go. And we're going to see a lot of the top-ranked wrestlers probably get uprooted here. It happens every year, right? I mean, one of the top 3 seeds is going to go out down that first or second round, and it's strange that happens, especially some of these guys have had just amazing seasons. And I would imagine it's probably what we talked about. Those guys aren't managing the things in their head right, but Shawn seems in a good spot, so I didn't see any changes there. We haven't changed anything as far as his goal is to go out there, secure points, start building that lead, and hopefully get some bonus points down the road.
Moving to 133. Although, actually, one thing about Shawn was interesting. It was his high school teammate, Milhoff. I mean, any chatter about that from Shawn?
No, not too much. He's talked about him just being a tough competitor down the road and stuff, but, we never really looked or heard him discuss about the opportunity of those guys ever meeting up and wrestling each other. So when you're friends like that, especially in the wrestling world, small world, I'm sure, he felt bad for Milhoff. Anybody could understand the kid's got to be really disappointed and see it happening to a few individuals coming out of the Big Tens, guys that were injured and certain things like that. It can affect guys. They've worked long and hard to have this opportunity. So for something like that to be taken away from him, you got to, feel in your heart for somebody like that.
And one more Shawn Russell follow-up. His brother's wrestling out here for Appalachian State. I mean, a lot of people, they look at the brackets, they don't draw any conclusions because they're not wrestling on the same team. But, any discussions about, what Shawn's been dealing with his brother?
Yeah, he was just super excited, for his brother to earn that spot. He had to win his conference, and he upset in the finals and got that big victory and came back from behind, from what I understand. And I just know Shawn was super excited. Shawn's been talking, a lot of positive things about his brother and that he deserves it. So for the chance for them to be here and wrestle in the same tournament, I know it was a big deal to him.
133 pounds, Ethan Lezak, kind of came on really pretty good Big Ten tournament. Got a avenge the lost Austin DeSanto of Iowa out there and looking like he's hitting stride right now. I mean, what's his preparation like coming in this new weight class his last time through?
Yeah, he said a lot about Lezak and held true at the Big Tens. He's when he was at 25, it was tough making weight, so those 1 hour weigh-ins were always hard on him. He had some big wins at 125, even the 1 hour duels, no question about it. But he's always been a conference and a postseason wrestler, and he's done very well at the conference championships and at the NCAAs for our program. And so it didn't surprise me. We talked about that before the Big Tens, and he looked great, as you mentioned, the Big Ten championships, and had some nice wins for us. He's always a guy that is so dangerous because on top he's always looking to score points, and that's unique, his style of wrestling. Even guys get on his legs, it seems like that's his advantage point. So he's been wrestling well, so he's in a good spot. We'd love to see some big points out of him when he has the opportunity to get bonus, because in a tournament like this, you see it down the end. You don't think too much of it on round one, but you see it at the end on Saturday night, looking at the difference as things are changing. A half a point from one spot to the next, or sometimes a couple spots. So he looks good. He's wrestling well, and we'd love to see him go out on top as a senior.
How about just the tremendous depth of that weight class? It's really been. John Smith said he hasn't seen a weight class that deep in all his years of coaching. I mean, it's impressive.
Yeah, it's very deep. It's hard. You look at a lot of these weight classes. There's just so many great wrestlers out there right now, and it's cool for our sport. We're here watching these guys compete for something that they spend a lot of time training for and working hard for. But 33, no question, is one of the weights that is one of the deepest weights here in the country, and so it'll be a fun one here to watch shake out here at the end of the weekend.
Mitch McKee, 141 pounds again. Guy's got a lot of spunk, got a lot of spark plug, can put up points in a hurry. Another good weight class there. What's the projection here for Mitch and his goals coming in? Yeah,
Mitch looks great. He always wrestles his best when he's really disciplined, and I thought he did a really good job of that at the Big Ten championship. I love that he's not afraid to go out and throw and fire off some big points. And he loves scrambling. He's a wild man out there, but there's no question he still wrestles his best when he's disciplined. Basic defense, just basic offense, but he has the ability to go out and pull the trigger when he needs to. And so for him, that's the big thing is there's been a couple matches where he's put himself in trouble a little bit because he's forced some things and actually gave up near fall. And that's, big. I think the biggest thing, if he's disciplined, doesn't give up near fall, his ability to score points on top, bottom, and on his feet gives him the opportunity to win any match. And so I like where he's at. I like how he's wrestling. And that's those are a couple of the things that we've been talking about.
149 pounds, Tommy Thorne, a guy who's been on the podium before. He seems like he's had some up and downs in the last couple of years. Well, what's it like to see, what's Tommy looking like? I saw him, we got off the plane. He looks like he's in good spirits. He looks fresh, at least from my vantage point. What's it look like from a coaching standpoint, and what do you expect from him?
Yeah, Tommy was an All-American for us 2 years ago. I'd love to see him finish it out as an All-American, obviously, going out as a senior for us. He's in a good spot. You can just see he's really confident right now. He seems excited. He looks great in the practice room. But I saw it at the Big Ten championships. He wrestled some of the best guys in the country, and he was in every single match. And a lot of those matches, he made some big strides and turned it around major, from where he was in the middle of the season to where they compete at the Big Ten. So I think he's made some more gains. Offensively, he can attack and score. He can get the legs very, very easy. So he's a dangerous guy to wrestle. He can score on top, and he's great on bottom. And so I think when you see his attitude like that and how positive he is, and he just seems like mentally he's in a good spot, I think that's a good thing for Tommy. So he could be a huge, for the Gophers to have a really good weekend. This could be a difference maker. We talked about those, first three guys that are ranked up there and have had some big wins, but Tommy's another one that could come out of nowhere when you see where he's seated and where he's ranked and where he could finish. I think that would be a difference of us being a team that's really contending for some hardware, would be having the guys do what they're expected to do, where they're ranked, and having guys like Tommy show up and get the wins that we know he's capable of getting if he's wrestling well.
One of your three-time All-Americans alum, Mac Ryder, was on the Alan Josh show talking about this Monsters tournament preview, and he had talked about Shawn Russell, saying, he'd like to have him for another year, as he was here for 1 year, and they talked about Steve Blythe. He goes, man, he's been here too, and I'd like to have him 2 more. Outside of the amount of trainers tape that you guys have to spend on him, what's it been like to have Steve the last 2 years, and what was it like to see him out there knocking off Ryan Deacon last weekend at the Big Ten tournaments, and really just going in to the championships with that belief that he can succeed, and that's not just he's just a walking wounded guy out there with one chance. I mean, he's out there having fun.
Yeah, Steve's been awesome ever. He's one of the hardest working guys I've had ability to coach. He loves competing. You can't get the guy off the mat for anything. This guy's training all the time, and he's tough, as you mentioned. And so sometimes you see, like, in big events, guys, tighten up and stuff. And just Steve truly is one of those guys that just loves to compete. And so he had a great win over Deacon, as you mentioned. That was a really exciting match for him, and shows that he can compete with some of the best guys in his weight. But he's a senior as well. Yeah, we'd love to have him longer. And you talk about guys like him and Russell, who both have transferred in, or even Skatska. Those guys seem like they've been here forever. They truly seem like family members, and they fit in well, and they bleed maroon and gold. And it's really cool to see. But Steve's put his time in. He deserves the win. And I know when he goes out there that whoever he's wrestling is going to be in for a fight. And that's the attitude that he has. And so it's really fun to be in the corner for guys like that.
Carson Roll finds himself at the tournament at the beginning of the year. Maybe not. Maybe a guy you're trying to wonder what you're going to get out of. I mean, what his ceiling was going to be. But he sneaks into the tournament, and what's it been like to have Carson in the room the last couple of weeks, knowing that he's here, he's at the show. Yeah,
no question about it. At the beginning of the season, you said it, like, he was a guy competing for the spot, and he's made some big steps. And the biggest thing for him is just going out and being relaxed and competing, because in the room we see he's a very hard worker. He does all the things right. He trains right. He eats right. He sleeps right. He's a full-bodied wrestler that can wrestle in every position. And I think the biggest thing that he's done this year, he's learned to let himself relax and be a little bit more of who we see in the practice room. And so it's been a great weekend for him. He had to battle back to get that to get the qualifying spot at the Big Ten Championships. And he did that. And so I'm excited to watch him compete. And again, you need to score points. We qualified 8 guys, and for us to do well, we need to score points out of every weight class. And Carson's a guy that I know, if he's confident, is capable of doing that. He's just got to go in and be himself. So
174, you had alluded to this. Devin Scott came into the program, and just, some people talk about the bump you get when you're hosting a Big Ten tournament or hosting any tournament that wrestlers from the home school compete better. It looked like Skatska was a guy definitely, hard to say he competed better. I mean, it was a good weight class, but sitting there and he gets 2 big wins over Mikey Labriola, both super stingy, super tight, ends up getting a fall and sudden victory in one situation. But, where has he adapted in the room, and what do you expect out of him coming in? I realize I'm saying the same question. Yeah. What do you expect? But what do you expect? A guy that's been with your program 1 year, and he's seems to be coming on of late.
Yeah, what I see about Devin is, like, where he started the year. We wrestled Labriola and the Daktronics, and there was a little bit of a separation, I think, just between the wrestlers at that point. And I think a lot of it is confidence and belief and stuff. And throughout the season, that's one of the things. Now I see that he's one of the best conditioned wrestlers out there on the mat. He's finishing strong. He's wrestling hard. But I think initially, earlier in the season, he was a guy that sometimes questioned himself, started thinking about winning versus competing. And he's done a really good job now of getting away from that. And you mentioned, he had a couple really nice wins in the Big Tens, and he's wrestled the best guys in the country, and he's continued to compete very well. As the seasons went on, especially the second half of the season, he's really came on and dominated. And even in our match against Labriola in Nebraska, he lost that one, but we beat him twice. And that's a very tough wrestler. I mean this in a respectful way. He beats this guy twice in the Big Tens, and in our duel against Nebraska, which would win the duel for us. When you look back at some of those things, he's dominating that match. I think he was winning by 5 points or so with less than a minute left, and had riding time and all those things, and gets reversed to his back on the edge. And I think sometimes those are moments where you catch a little hiccup, where you start thinking about the win and stuff like that, or beating a guy you hadn't. So the changes that he's made the second half of the season has showed a lot of growth in him. And from what I've seen watching him when we competed against him when he was at Indiana, and where I see him now, I just see he's just a great leader. He works hard, and he has skills to compete with the best guys. He was in it with some of the best. He wrestled to Mark Hall in the semifinals match there, to a very, very tight match. And so love to see him continue to move in that direction. But we're excited to watch him compete this weekend, obviously. And he seems ready and relaxed and confident, and that's why he's wrestling as well as he is at this time of the season.
Gable Stevenson took his first loss of his college career in the Big Ten Finals against Anthony Cassar of Penn State. A lot of hype followed Gable all year long. He kind of didn't look like that was bothering him a whole lot, but Big Ten Finals, it looks like he got into something that was atypical for him. A 1 takedown match, got taken down late. Actually, ended up being a 2 takedown match, but got taken down late, and the hype surrounding a possible undefeated 4-timer gone. What was that like for you as a coach, and what did you say to Gable after that loss, and what is he thinking coming into this tournament?
Yeah, I mean, some of these things are things he said, and some of the things are things that just said I thought or maybe mentioned to him, but basically the discussion was like, you get a lot to learn from this now, because as everyone knows, when he's out there putting up points and competing as many tools he has offensively, that's his best chance to be who he is. That's why everyone talks about Gable's when he's going out there and he's wrestling that really offensive, open styled wrestling. And so I thought he did wrestle a little bit tight in the Big Ten championships there. Like you said, there was 2 takedowns. He scores a takedown. It seems like he's going to get the win, and then a short time left, he gives one up, and so that was the difference maker. It was really the timing of the takedowns. But at the end of the day, I think he has the ability to do more, and to give yourself the best chance to be as successful as you want to be, he has to be the guy that everyone's talking about that goes out and wrestles. I truly believe he's not just one of the best wrestlers, or not just the best wrestler in this weight class or in the country, but maybe one of the best wrestlers in the world if he's wrestling like that. And so, that's what we're taking away from it, is just go out and compete. You're always going to battle. And I knew going into it, I told him, I didn't know if he would, how the season would go, but I thought he'd run into some road bumps here or there. This is Division I wrestling, college wrestling. He's a true freshman at the heavyweight. He's a young, true freshman at that. Yeah. Still 18, and so it's pretty amazing what he's done. But the biggest difference is, as we all know, is he's extremely confident. I like the way he responded after he got beat. He was disappointed that he didn't create more action. And at the end of the day, I said, if you wrestle like that, the guy doesn't have to beat you for 7 minutes. You make it so that he has to beat you for a minute. But you change it up and make a guy beat you for 7 minutes. I think it's going to be more difficult. And so I hope this weekend that he starts off early, gets his offense going, and he continues to wrestle that way. I like where his mind is. He just seems determined, extremely determined to change it around, and he's going to have a lot of battles here, and it'll be a crazy, exciting weekend, but could be an amazing opportunity for him to do something that no true freshman heavyweight has ever done, and that's to win a Division I national title still. So pretty amazing if he could accomplish that, but obviously one match at a time.
Yeah, and it also puts things in perspective, as crazy as it is, and not to talk about that school and state college and the guy you wrestled, but puts in perspective how difficult what Cael Sanderson accomplished as a college athlete is when you got somebody that seems to be blowing through it, and a lot can happen. You can twist an ankle during a match. I mean, it puts things in perspective every year. It's like the 1972 Dolphins. Every time a team gets beat, they pop a cork champagne.
Yeah, no question about it. This is a difficult thing. It's pretty amazing when you think about, some of these guys, especially a guy like Cael that went through it undefeated. But, even his true freshman year, I guess he'd lost a match, and he wasn't probably in the same situation. If you look at the way that Gable's been tested every weekend, he's wrestled the best guys at his weight week in and week out. And so, but still, it's amazing. You think about that, what some of these guys have done, and it's incredible. So, yeah, I'm excited. He's a fun guy to sit in the corner. He loves competing, going out there, and so our guys just overall, the Gophers seem loose and relaxed, and they're all sitting on the mat now, joking around and laughing and smiling. I think that's a good spot. So there'll be time to get down to business here, and they're ready. And so it's one match at a time, and some guys are maybe in better spots than others, but it's just how you look at it. At the end of the day, you got to go out and wrestle, and so it's been a good season. I like the progress our guys have made. I've been excited to lead these guys in this sense and work alongside with Coach Becker and Brandvold and Sanders and the rest of the help on the team. And there's a lot of guys back home that have been sweating and spilling their own blood with these guys right here that, we know that their job here is to go out there and score points and make sure they honor those guys as well. They get the opportunity to go out and compete for the state of Minnesota and the young kids back there that want to see these guys do extremely well. And so this was a big weekend for us.
Sanders make it back from Russia yet?
Yeah, he gets in at 11 o'clock tonight. So he'll be, I'm sure he'll be a little bit tired, but he'll be getting in late. So.
And as far as the team race goes, Penn State's the pronounced favorite here, but what are the goals for your squad? I mean, trophy hunting is what it is. I mean, perfect world. Yeah. You like to say number one is a goal. What are the realistic goals here, and what do you guys want to come back to Minneapolis with?
Yeah. I mean, in your head, you can always, figure out ways that you could, calculate or try to say, this is what I want to accomplish. As a team goal here, there's no question. I'd love to have an amazing tournament. That'd be to bring back some hardware. So if you could punch in the top 4, I know we're not favored to do that when you look on paper with our seeds and some of those things. I know that it isn't what we're expected to score, but these guys need to go out and, like the Big Tens, in a lot of ways, we weren't expected to finish or be chasing down that 3rd place spot too. It was a neck and neck race there with Iowa back and forth, and we had our opportunities, but that's because we won the matches we were supposed to, and then we got a couple upsets. And if we want to do that, not just stay in the top 10, but to be a team that's competing for a trophy, we're going to have to win the matches we're supposed to, and we're going to have to get some upsets, in the quarters and stuff like that. That's going to be, when you look at it on paper, those are a lot of times if we can get to those spots, we're going to have to win those matches. We're going to have to upset a lot of guys because we're not favored in most of those matches. So that's where the big difference maker will be. Early in the rounds, I'm talking about this. I don't want the guys listening to this or thinking that way. Obviously, it's one match at a time. But in those first rounds, if you can go out and get like we said earlier, a major or a pin, like those points are huge. When you look at the finish on Saturday, that'd be huge. So in a perfect world, to bring back some hardware would be awesome. I know everybody would be pumped. It'd be a perfect finish for us, but we'll see.
Support wrestling in the land of 10,000 wrestlers by subscribing to The Guillotine. 9 issues a year for just $20, the best value in Minnesota wrestling. Subscribe at theguillotine.com/subscribe.
This show is part of the Matt Talk Podcast Network. For more wrestling podcasts, head over to MattTalkOnline.com.